My son left his wife on a pharmacy curb with no keys and no work shoes. Before that afternoon ended, I had to decide whether taking her home would help her or help him do it again. When Lena called, she said, "June, I'm outside Barlow Pharmacy. Please come now and don't call Eric." I was 2 minutes away on the same Thursday route I had driven since retirement. Pharmacy, library slot, grocery store, county road home. I had driven a school bus for 31 years. I knew that a changed message required a changed route. I turned before the library and found Lena beside a metal bench in black work pants and foam sandals from the pharmacy aisle. She had no purse. I unlocked the passenger door. She got in and pulled it shut carefully. "Where are your shoes?" "In Eric's trunk. My bag too. Both car keys." I kept the engine running. "Where do you want me to take you?" "I don't know, just not home." I drove to the public library and parked beneath a maple at the far edge of the lot. Her phone buzzed before I shifted into park. "He wants his wife back," she said. "He also wants your spare car key." Then she told me why. That morning she had redirected one future paycheck so she could reach it without asking Eric. He called that disloyal. At the pharmacy, he told her to change it back or find her own ride to work, made her get out, and drove away with the things she needed for her shift. "He can't turn your whole life off," I said. Lena looked at me, tired rather than angry. "He doesn't have to. He just has to make every part harder." The pharmacy curb was not the whole story. It was the first part she could no longer make small. For most of my life, I would have called my son, demanded an explanation, and decided what everyone should do next. That was how I understood being useful. But Lena had asked for a ride, not a verdict. Lena supervised the evening laundry shift at Alder Creek Community Hospital. The job was not glamorous, but it was steady, and she was proud that every cart of clean linens left on time. She had never asked Eric to support her. She had asked to reach the pay she earned. For years, it had gone into the household account. Eric handled the bills and examined the receipts. A cup of coffee could become a question. A bottle of shampoo could become a lecture about planning. Lena had not moved money already committed to rent or utilities. She intended to keep paying her share. She wanted one future check to arrive somewhere she could use it without presenting a reason first. The household card in her phone stopped working before she reached the pharmacy checkout. She used a few dollars folded behind her phone case to buy the foam sandals. That detail troubled me almost as much as the curb. A person does not hide emergency cash behind a phone because one bad afternoon surprises her. Her phone buzzed again. This time she held it where I could see the first line. "Tell Mom to bring you home." A second message arrived. "I need her spare key anyway." I had a spare key for my own car on a blue plastic ring. Eric knew it. Twice that spring, I had lent him my car when he said theirs needed service. Once he returned it nearly empty and laughed that retired people did not have anywhere urgent to be. I had laughed too. "Could I stay at your house tonight?" Lena asked. "Only tonight. I need somewhere to think where he can't walk in." "Yes. And don't tell him before we get there." "I won't." It felt strange to promise that. Eric was my only child. For 42 years I had believed that a good mother kept the road between herself and her child open. I had not considered that he might use that road to reach someone who had asked for distance. We took the county route home instead of Main Street. Lena watched the side mirror. I watched it too, from habit, and hated myself a little for noticing how practiced she looked. My house was a one-story brick place at the end of a short road. My husband Tom and I bought it when Eric was 8. Tom had been gone 6 years, and the spare room still held a narrow bed, a dresser, and boxes I always meant to sort. Lena stood in the doorway with her pharmacy bag. "This is fine," she said. "It is not fine. It is available." I nearly told her she could stay as long as she needed. The words came from love, but they also sounded like another person deciding the size of her future. We can talk tomorrow about what comes after tonight, I said. Her shoulders lowered. The first thing she needed was not a speech. It was her prescription, her badge, and the shoes required on her shift. Marta can help, she said. Marta Ruiz worked beside her at the hospital. I had met her once at a holiday open house. She had quick eyes and a laugh that seemed to arrive before she did. Lena called her directly. I'm safe, she said. I need a favor, but only if it is easy and safe for you. Marta was scheduled for the early part of the evening. She offered to cover the first hour of Lena's shift and stop by the Mercer house only if Eric was gone. Lena gave her a short list. Black shoes, badge, prescription bottle, 2 shirts, phone charger. Nothing else. I picked up my keys. I can go with her. Lena shook her head. No, I don't want you at the house with him. And I don't want anybody collecting things for a case. I just need to work tomorrow. That sentence stopped me. My mind had already leaped from pickup to confrontation. I was turning her crisis into a task I could complete. All right, I said. Your list. Marta promised to text before she went near the house. If Eric was there, she would leave. While Lena showered, I set a clean towel on the bathroom stool and found an unopened toothbrush. Then I sat at the kitchen table with my phone. There were years of messages from Eric. Most were ordinary. Pictures of a new grill, questions about holiday plans, reminders to bring potato salad. But when I searched the word ride, a pattern appeared. Mom, can you get Lena? Car trouble. Mom, can you take her in? She made us late. Can you tell my supervisor I had to deal with her ride? Once, I had called Eric's supervisor and said the battery failed. Eric had not told me the battery failed. He had told me he needed help smoothing over a morning. Another time, Lena waited outside the hospital for 40 minutes because Eric changed the pickup plan after she agreed to work an extra hour. I drove her home. On the way, she said they had argued. I told her marriage could make people careless with each other's time. Careless. That was the word I had chosen because it did not accuse my son of anything. My sister Denise called while I was still looking at the messages. Eric says Lena had some kind of episode and you drove off with her. Lena called me for a ride. Where is she? She is safe. Denise lowered her voice. June, this is their marriage. You do not want to get in the middle. I looked toward the hallway. The shower had stopped. I have been in the middle for years, I said. I just kept calling it a ride. You have heard one side. I have heard what Lena wants tonight. And what is that? For me not to tell people where she is. Denise went quiet. We had grown up in a family where silence usually meant disapproval, and I braced for it. Instead, she said, Eric is upset. I know. He is your son. I know that too. I told her Eric could message me. I would answer when I could. I would not discuss Lena's location or decisions. As I ended the call, headlights moved across my kitchen wall. Lena came from the hallway in one of my old sweatshirts. She saw the light and froze. Is that him? I checked through the side window. Eric's gray sedan stopped behind my car. Yes. My front door was locked. I had locked it when we came in, though I had lived on that road for 34 years and rarely turned the deadbolt before bed. Do you want to speak to him? I asked. No. Do you want him to know you're here? She breathed in slowly. He already knows, or he guessed. You can tell him I'm safe. Tell him I don't want contact tonight. Anything else? No. Eric knocked the way he always had. 2 quick taps, then 1 harder. When he was a teenager, that knock meant he had forgotten his key. When Tom was sick, it meant Eric had brought groceries. Memory can make a familiar sound feel entitled. I stepped onto the porch and pulled the door shut behind me. Move your car, Eric said. I need to talk to Lena. She doesn't want to talk tonight. His eyes shifted to the curtain behind me. So she is here. She is safe. Mom, she took her pay out of our account. She is blowing up our life over nothing. Leaving her at a pharmacy was not nothing. I drove around the block. She called you before I got back. Lena had told me he did not return. I did not argue about which road he drove. The important fact was standing between us. He expected the person he stranded to wait for him. You need to go home, I said. Then give me your spare key. I have to work in the morning. My car is not available. His face changed. Not dramatically. The warmth went out of it. You always let me use it. Not tonight. She has turned you against me in 2 hours. I am listening to what she asked. She is my wife, and she is an adult. He took one step toward the door. I stayed where I was. Across the road, my neighbor Paul switched on his porch light. I had not called him. The knock and voices had carried in the still afternoon. Eric noticed. You want an audience now? I want you to leave. For 1 second, I saw the little boy who used to come to my bus at the end of its route because he liked to help me check the seats. Then he looked past my shoulder again, searching for a way around an answer he did not like. She will cost you money, he said. She will stay until you are tired of taking care of her. That is for me and Lena to discuss. He pointed at my car. You are choosing her over me. I am choosing not to hand you a key tonight. That was all. No speech, no revelation. I did not tell him what kind of man he was. I told him what he could not take from my porch. He walked back to his car and reversed too fast out of the driveway. Inside, Lena sat on the edge of the couch. Her hands were flat against her knees. Did he leave? Yes. Did you give him the key? No. She closed her eyes. I expected relief to fill the room. It did not. Relief can be very quiet when a person knows morning is still coming. Marta texted 15 minutes later. Eric's car was no longer at the house. She had picked up every item on Lena's list except the charger, which she could not find. She did not open drawers. She did not take photographs. She did not gather papers. She brought the black shoes and badge to my house and left for work. At 6 the next morning, I drove Lena to the hospital. We passed the pharmacy. Neither of us mentioned it. At the employee entrance, she rested her hand on the door latch. I need more than one night, she said. All right, but I need rules. I almost smiled because she sounded like a shift supervisor again. Tell me. I need to know you won't tell Eric where I go. I need an end date we can review so I'm not just living in your room forever. And I need you not to fix things with him for me. I can do that. Can you? It was a fair question. I can learn, I said. She went inside to work. I drove home alone, and at every intersection I thought about calling Eric. I did not. That afternoon, Lena asked me to drive her to Crossroads Resource Center. It was a fictional-sounding name for a very ordinary office between a tax preparer and a pet groomer. A woman at the desk gave Lena a private room. I waited in the car because Lena asked me to. For nearly an hour I watched people carry dogs into the groomer and envelopes into the tax office. I had spent my working life knowing where my passengers were going. Waiting without knowing felt unnatural. When Lena returned, she had one sheet of paper folded in half. I have some options, she said. I did not ask to see the paper. On the drive home, she told me only what she wanted me to know. Her next paycheck would go where she had directed it. She would pay for her own needs from it and keep a record of the household bills she intended to cover. She would decide later with private advice what to do about the rest. She did not need me to call a bank, a lawyer, or Eric. She needed a place for 3 weeks, then we would review. She needed direct contact with Marta and Denise. She did not want unplanned meetings with Eric. And if I change my mind about talking to him, she said, I need that to be my decision too. It will be. even if you think it is a mistake? I tightened my hands on the wheel, then relaxed them. Even then. That promise was harder than the one at the pharmacy. Protection can become another form of control if the person offering it believes gratitude includes obedience. By evening, Eric had called Denise, 2 cousins, and my brother-in-law. The story moved quickly because it was simple. Lena and Eric had argued about money. Lena overreacted. I interfered. Now 2 women were punishing him by hiding. The more complicated truth did not travel as well. Denise called again. People are asking if she is safe. She is. Can you tell me what happened? I can tell you that she is making her own decisions. I am not going to give you a report on her marriage. Then Eric gets to tell everyone his version. He gets to say what he says. I am not going to compete using Lena's life. Denise let out a breath. What am I supposed to do? I looked at Lena. She nodded once. Ask her directly, I said, and begin by asking what she needs you not to do. An hour later, Lena showed me Denise's message. I am not asking where you are. What do you need me not to do? Lena wrote back that she did not want messages carried between her and Eric. She did not want surprise visits arranged. She did want to know if Eric told relatives she was missing or unable to speak for herself. Denise replied, understood. It was not a grand change of sides. It was one person accepting a lane that did not run through Eric. The next week was harder than the porch. On Monday, the bus from my road to the hospital required 2 transfers and nearly an hour. I could drive Lena in 20 minutes, but she did not want my car to become the new hinge on which her life swung. Marta took Tuesday. I took Wednesday. On Thursday, Lena rode the bus to a stop near work, and Marta picked her up for the last mile. Friday, another woman from the laundry shift brought her home. None of it looked like freedom in a photograph. It looked like alarms set early, coffee in a travel cup, and 5 adults checking times. One evening, Lena came through my door exhausted and put 4 bus schedules on the kitchen counter. He knew this, she said. Knew what? How hard it was to get to work without the car. Every time he threatened not to pick me up, he knew it wasn't just a ride. That was the clearest explanation she ever gave me. Control did not need a lock on every door. It only needed to place enough weight against the door that opening it cost more than most people could pay every morning. We looked at used bicycles online. Not because a bicycle solved everything. Alder Creek roads were bad in winter, and the hospital was too far for every shift. But it could connect Lena to the direct bus on clear days. It was one more route she could choose. Eric sent me messages during that week. Need the car Saturday. Can you lend me enough for the shop? Tell Uncle Ray she is making this sound worse than it was. The first 2 asked for the old services. The third asked for the old story. I answered none of them. Then he sent, Can we have lunch? Just you and me. I agreed to meet at a diner near the interstate. It had wide windows and coffee that tasted the same at every hour. Eric was already in a booth. He looked tired. For a moment, compassion rose so quickly in me that I nearly mistook it for instruction. You look thin, I said. I haven't been eating. You should. He waited for me to offer groceries. I did not. Are you going to tell me where she is? No. Then what is this lunch? You asked to see me. He turned his coffee cup by the handle. I am sorry I yelled at you. Thank you. I was under pressure. Lena moved her money. The car needs work. Then you made me look dangerous in front of your neighbor. I did not make you come to my door. You know what I mean. I did. He wanted his apology to me to purchase my agreement about Lena. I will have a relationship with you, I said, but I will not lend you my car or give you emergency cash while you are using those things to reach Lena. I will not let you into my house without asking. I will not tell relatives that this was a misunderstanding, and I will not carry messages. So she made a list for you. This is my list. His jaw tightened. You are my mother. Yes. Mothers help their children. Sometimes help is refusing to make the next choice easier. He stared at me. I wished immediately that I had said it more plainly. I did not want a polished line. I wanted him to understand. You left her without what she needed to get to work, I said. Then you expected my car. If I give it to you, I help you avoid the part that belongs to you. I went back. She was gone. Because she called you. Because you left her. He pushed the coffee away. What do I have to say to make you stop this? There is no sentence. Of course there is. Everyone wants an apology. I want you to speak about what you did without making it something Lena caused. I want you to respect her contact choices. If you can do that, you can message me and ask to meet. And the key? No. He laughed once, without humor. That key has always been family property. It opens my car, he stood. I'll come get it tonight. Do not come into my house. You changed the lock? I had. After Tom died, I gave Eric a key for emergencies. The morning after the first porch visit, I realized emergency had come to mean whatever Eric wanted badly enough. A locksmith changed the cylinder while Lena was at work. I did not do it to trap or surprise him. I sent a message that afternoon. The old house key no longer works. Do not come without an invitation. Eric had never answered it. He left cash on the table for his coffee and walked out. I sat in the booth until my own coffee cooled. When I told Lena he intended to come, I did not decide our response. What do you want? I asked. We sat in the living room with the curtains open to the last of the afternoon light. The blue-ringed car key lay on the small table because I had emptied my pockets. Lena looked at it, then looked away. I do not want to see him, she said. I don't want to talk through the door. All right. Marta found 2 things she could not take last time, my rain jacket and the flash drive from the desk. Eric says he has them in his car. Do you want them? Yes, if he will leave them. I don't want anything else exchanged. She typed a message on her phone, read it aloud, then sent it herself. I do not agree to a visit. Leave my rain jacket and work drive on June's porch. Do not enter. I will contact you if and when I choose. There was no accusation in it. There was no invitation either. I called Denise. Eric says he is coming here. I do not need you to confront him. I need you to keep your phone close. If I text the word call, call me. If I do not answer, then get help. Denise did not argue. I will. Then I walked across the road to Paul's mailbox. I told him my son might come and that I expected a short conversation. I did not ask Paul to stand beside me. I asked him to stay on his own property and notice if the visit stopped being short. At home, I checked the back door and the garage door. 31 years of driving children had taught me that calm did not mean unprepared. You checked the route before weather arrived. You kept exits clear. You did not wait for a frightened passenger to invent the plan. Lena stood in the hallway. June, if he leaves when you ask, please let him leave. Don't keep him there to make him listen. I won't. And don't tell him I'm never speaking to him again. I haven't decided that. I won't say it. Those instructions mattered. Without them, I might have turned the threshold into my moment of judgment. It was not mine. Eric arrived just after 7. He parked in the driveway and walked first to the side door, the one near the garage. He put his old key in the lock. It did not turn. The small sound of metal against metal traveled through the house. Lena stepped farther from the hallway window. Eric tried once more. Then he came to the front porch and knocked. I stayed inside with the door locked. Mom! I can hear you. Open the door. No. He held up a grocery bag. The sleeve of Lena's rain jacket showed at the top. I brought her things. Leave them on the chair. I need my key. You do not have a key to my car. The spare, the blue ring, it is mine. You have 2. I have no way to get to work if my car won't start. You knew that when you left Lena at the pharmacy. He looked toward Paul's porch. Paul sat in a lawn chair with a folded newspaper. He did not stare at us. He was simply there. This is ridiculous, Eric said. You have turned the whole neighborhood into witnesses. No, I have kept my door closed. He placed the bag on the chair but did not step back. Lena, I know you're in there. Lena did not answer. Tell her I just want 5 minutes. She told you what she wants in her message. You are speaking for her. I am following what she wrote. He leaned closer to the glass beside the door. She is my wife. She decides whether to speak. He closed his eyes, then opened them. Are you really choosing her over your own son? The first time he asked me that, I answered with the key. This time the question was larger. He was asking whether being my son would restore every road he had used before. I am choosing to believe that family does not make another adult's no disappear, I said. He shook his head. You rehearsed that. No, I have been learning it. So this is it? You lose your son because my wife got mad about a bank account? I have not ended our relationship. I told you what contact I will accept. On your terms. For my home and my car, yes. He pressed his palm against the door. Give me the key. No. Then at least tell Uncle Ray I went back for her. There it was again. The old service, offered in a different form. If he could not have my car, he wanted my voice. No. You know I went back. I know Lena was alone when I arrived. His hand dropped. I opened the interior mail slot and pushed out a small, empty tote. Put the jacket and drive inside. Take the grocery bag with you. He stared at the slot, as if the size of the opening insulted him. Then he removed the 2 items and placed them in the tote. I pulled it through. Future contact with me stays by message until you can speak about your choices without demanding information about Lena, I said. You sound like a stranger. I am still your mother. Not today. He stepped away from the porch. I did not open the door to call him back. He reversed out slowly that time. Paul folded his newspaper and went inside. Lena came into the entryway after the taillights disappeared. She checked the jacket pockets and plugged the drive into my old laptop long enough to confirm it was hers. Thank you, she said. You do not owe me thanks for keeping my own door closed. She gave me a tired look. I can still thank you. I nodded. She was right. Refusing control included letting her choose gratitude too. That night I cried in my bedroom with a towel pressed against my mouth. I did not cry because I regretted the boundary. I cried because doing the necessary thing had not made Eric look less like my son. His face at the door belonged to the baby I had carried, the teenager whose first car I helped push out of a snowbank, the man who held my hand at Tom's funeral. Love did not vanish when I saw what he had done. It became more painful because it could no longer excuse it. The visible consequences arrived in ordinary requests. Saturday morning, can you drive me to the repair shop? I replied, no. Saturday afternoon, I need $200 until payday. I replied, I am not lending money. Sunday, Uncle Ray thinks I abandoned her. Tell him I went back. I replied, I will not explain Lena's experience for you. Monday, can I get Dad's socket set from the garage? I replied, we can arrange a time next month if you respect the house rule. He wrote back that I was holding his father's things hostage. The socket set was mine. Tom had left the garage to me with everything in it, but I did not argue property by text. Eric did not need the sockets that day. He needed proof that one old door still opened when he pushed. It did not. The following Wednesday, I saw him through the window of the repair shop while I was stopped at the light. He sat alone on a bench beside the service bay looking at his phone. His car was on a lift. A paper cup rested by his shoe. My hand moved toward the turn signal. For years, that sight would have been enough. I would have pulled in, asked how long the repair would take, and offered my keys before he asked. I knew the bus line near the shop ran only once an hour. I knew his job began across town. I knew exactly how to solve the morning. The light changed. I drove straight. Later, Denise told me Eric had taken the bus, arrived late, and arranged a ride with a coworker for the rest of the week. She said it carefully, as though waiting to see whether I would call that suffering. He worked it out, I said. Apparently. Neither of us celebrated. A late arrival was not justice. A bus ride did not make him understand Lena. It simply meant the inconvenience he had once passed to other people had remained in his own day long enough for him to handle it. That distinction helped me on the nights when guilt became loud. My house felt different with Lena in the spare room. There was another mug in the drainer, another coat on the hall hook, and sometimes the washing machine ran after I had gone to bed. None of that was a burden. The burden was remembering that Eric had predicted I would tire of her, and then wondering whether every ordinary irritation proved him right. Once, I found wet towels folded on top of the dryer instead of hung. I stood there feeling anger rise much faster than 2 towels deserved. Then I realized the anger was fear. If Lena inconvenienced me, I was afraid I would become evidence for Eric. I carried the towels to the kitchen. "Could we hang these next time?" I asked. "Of course," she said. "I forgot." That was the whole exchange. We were allowed to be 2 adults sharing a house. We did not have to turn every small disagreement into a trial of whether she deserved shelter or I deserved gratitude. Eric's prediction lost power each time we handled an ordinary problem directly. Denise changed too. Not by announcing that she had been wrong, but by stopping certain habits. When Eric called her for Lena's work schedule, Denise refused. When Uncle Ray asked her which woman was telling the truth, she said Lena could speak for herself and June would speak for June. Then Denise called Lena directly to ask if she wanted company at the park. Lena said yes. I was not invited. That stung for about 3 seconds. Then I understood it as progress. Lena did not need every relationship to pass through my kitchen. 3 weeks after the pharmacy, we reviewed the spare room arrangement as promised. Lena had received her pay where she directed it. She paid me a modest amount for groceries after I resisted and she insisted. She continued handling the household obligations she had chosen to handle while getting private advice about the rest. We never sat at my table sorting documents for dramatic effect. Most of the work happened on her lunch breaks, through quiet calls I did not hear. Her work attendance held. Marta stopped covering extra time because Lena no longer needed it. Denise became one of the people Lena could call without the conversation circling back to Eric. Transportation took longer. We found a used blue bicycle at a shop near the county line. The owner adjusted the seat while Lena tested the brakes. I asked whether she wanted my opinion. "On the brakes," she said, "not the color." I checked the brakes. She bought the bicycle with her own money. On clear mornings, she rode to a direct bus stop on Mason Road, locked the bicycle there, and took 1 bus to the hospital. On late shifts, Marta still gave her a ride. I drove some days because a chosen ride between adults was not the same as a ride used to enforce obedience. The difference was simple. Lena could say no to mine. She began looking at rooms closer to work, not because I asked her to leave, and not because she had to prove independence on a schedule. She wanted a place where every drawer was hers and nobody interpreted a closed door as an insult. We set another review date. At that second review, Lena told me she had found a room in a duplex 12 minutes from the hospital by bicycle. The woman who owned it taught art at the middle school and wanted a tenant who worked evenings because she valued quiet mornings. "I have not signed anything," Lena said. "I want to see it twice." "Do you want me to come?" She considered the question. "The second time. I want to see it alone first." That answer would once have hurt my feelings. I might have disguised the hurt as concern and listed every reason a woman should not inspect a room alone. Instead, I asked when she wanted my opinion. Saturday, she said, mostly on the route after dark. Saturday evening, we drove from the duplex to the hospital, then back by the roads Lena would use. I pointed out one intersection where the shoulder narrowed. She pointed out a better-lit road that added 4 minutes. We did not decide which room she should rent. We tested a route because that was the help she requested. The following Monday, she signed a month-to-month agreement. She chose a move date 6 weeks after the pharmacy, giving herself time to gather basic furniture without draining the pay she had just begun to control. Marta offered a lamp. Denise offered 2 sturdy chairs. I offered Tom's old dresser, and Lena said she would take it only if I truly wanted it gone. I have wanted it gone for 4 years, I said. Then I'll take it. We carried it out without turning the move into a family ceremony. The dresser was useful. That was enough. One afternoon, I found the spare room key on the dresser and carried it to her at the kitchen counter. "You forgot this. I thought you might need it. It is your room while you are here." She looked at the key in my palm. "No conditions? 1. Do not lose it. The locksmith charged enough the first time." She laughed. It was a small laugh, but it belonged to the room. Eric did not disappear. Consequences are not the same as disappearance. He sent angry messages, then silent weeks, then careful messages that sounded as if he had learned the correct vocabulary without yet accepting the meaning. I did not reward polished phrases. I answered concrete ownership. The first message that changed anything came on a Thursday before dawn. I listened to it while the garage door lifted. "Mom," he said, "I should not have driven away with Lena's things. I should not have come to your house after both of you told me not to. I still think you shut me out too fast. I want to talk." It was incomplete. He named 2 choices, then tried to share their consequence with me. A month earlier, I would have called immediately and helped him turn that beginning into a finished apology. I saved the message. I did not answer yet. Lena rolled her bicycle down the driveway. She wore her black work shoes and a reflective vest over her jacket. The sky was gray-blue, and the maples along the road had begun to turn. "Mason Road today?" I asked. "Mason Road. Marta is bringing me back." She had told me because she chose to, not because I required her route. At the end of the driveway, she stopped. "Are you all right?" I held up the phone. "Eric left a message that may be a beginning." "Are you going to call him?" "Not this morning," she nodded. No advice, no permission. Each of us had learned to leave the other person's decision where it belonged. Lena turned toward Mason Road. I watched until she passed the first bend. Then I lowered the garage door and got into my car. For years, I had believed keeping a family together meant making sure nobody had to face the full distance created by their own choices. I drove the extra mile. I supplied the missing key. I explained the late arrival. That Thursday, Lena traveled under her own power. Eric's message waited without being rejected or rewarded. And I began my familiar route without answering for either one of them.